Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is a Saltmarsh Welcome, Dawnbringers, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, Season 3, Episode 6. And it is so good to be back. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks. I think we only went 1 week without playing. But it feels like forever. And it is awesome to be back with my friends once again to play in this awesome campaign, the Dawnbringers. And those of you showing up in the chat already, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this ride. This is Season 3. I think this means that, let's see, this will be like the 34th? 44th? I lost track. Game that we've played, because we've been playing this for just over a year. Starting with that that little, hey, let's play a mini campaign. I'm gonna run Sunless Citadel real quick. A year later, we're in Season 3, and we've picked up another adventurer along the way. That we are happy to have a part of our Dawnbringers family. Speaking of which, we are noticeably absent one dwarf, one Talmud. Jeremy had a fantastic opportunity to run a home game for his son and I believe some cousins of his son, some nephews, niece, whatever. But I gladly we gladly give him leave to introduce or continue adventures with a younger generation of players in the hobby. So be thinking of Jeremy while he's running a game at the same time that we're playing Dawnbringers. We're going to do a couple of announcements real quick, and then we'll give you the usual rundown of our previous adventures, bringing us up to speed as we begin to explore the region of Saltmarsh. And okay, wow, thank you, Joey. Our longtime friend, and it's been a while. We've missed you. He showed up in Jeremy's game last night, and said that he would be here tonight, and we are so glad to have you here. So much so that I am going to go back to the original acknowledgement from when we first ran into you, our patron of the domain dice. Ooh, Chameleon fam. Ooh, thank you so much for the $100 tip. Of course, all of that goes towards your goal, your mission that you have taken upon yourself to bring the Dawnbringers to break 100 domain dice. Somebody do the math on me. I think that's 20 domain dice, isn't it? At $5 a piece. Yeah, that's 20 domain dice. Okay, this is the first time that we are using this. You guys, Dawnbringers, ladies and gentlemen, now have 91 domain dice. I only have enough graphics to take us up to 105 domain dice. And I never thought I would see the day where I'd have to think, you know what? I think I need to make another page of graphics. So thank you for that, Joey. Chameleon, we've missed you, and we are so glad to have you back with us. As I was saying, before I was thrown off by that, a couple of announcements are real quick. Since we had this incredible domain die donation, I will real quick tell you what domain dice are. Of course, it is going by on the scroll at the bottom of the screen. For every $5 tip, for every 500 bits, resubscriptions, subscriptions, such as Tamiko subscribing right there, returning for 8 months. That's going to go ahead and earn them another domain die, pushing them up to 92. It's events like that that give the players domain dice. Our esteemed Fellowship of the Tables, our moderator, has put that in the side chat as well. Those dice can be used to reroll, force me to reroll, gain extra healing, save yourselves from the brink of death, or the patron's blessing chosen by Mr. Chameleon himself. can allow you to turn a hit into a super crit. The Patron's Blessing, you turn one hit into an automatic double max damage critical hit, which I believe has now been used twice in this campaign, both times by Talmud. So that's what domain dice are all about. It is our way to allow you, the viewer, to have a little say in what goes on. Additionally, I want to draw attention down into those far corners where you'll see some graphics. Jasper's Game Day and Initiative Coffee Company are organizations I have partnered with. Mini Terrain Domain, I say we, all of us, a part of Mini Terrain Domain, have partnered with Jasper's Game Day, which there's a link in the chat now. Click on that, it will take you directly to their donation page. Jasper's Game Day is an organization dedicated to raising awareness and prevention of suicide through tabletop gaming. This stream alone has been, I say not alone, because it took a ton of people to make this happen, but we did a very successful over $5,000 charity drive right here on Mini Terrain Domain. All of that money going to benefit, help fund suicide crisis centers around the country. And also as part of that, I've partnered with Initiative Coffee Company to bring you Metade Roast Coffee, a Peruvian and Brazilian medium roast coffee. For every 12-ounce bag you purchase, $3 of that will go to Game Day. And also, side note, Brian from Initiative Coffee Company, less than 1 week from now, next Tuesday, will be sort of an informal session 0 for our new Legends and Legacies Fandelver campaign, in which Brian will be a player, along with some other amazing people that will be joining us. Todd Silber from Warlords Crusade, a friend of the Mini Terrain Domain and Absolute Tabletop community, Yvonne Hubble, will be joining us. Somebody that's no stranger to the channel and no stranger to Megan, Karen Davies, will be joining us as well, along with my friend Michael Mers from one of my home groups, both as a player and as. So I'm excited to have people I've gamed with, but all brand new people to Mini Terrain Domain for a regular campaign that will be every other Tuesday opposite Megan's Curse of Strahd game over on Dice on Ice. Finally, on the lower right-hand corner, you will see the D&D Beyond logo. That is because Mini Terrain Domain is powered by D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond has granted us insider access, which is why you can mouse over the stream window and see a pop-up with all of the characters' information. And we use D&D Beyond for all of our characters, and I use it. I have multiple tabs open right now. Track everything in all of my campaigns run here on the channel. The last thing that I want to mention in the opening announcements, as part of the Jaspers and Initiative Coffee Company, everything to do with the suicide awareness, there is the National Suicide Hotline. At any time, if you are feeling like you need somebody to talk to, you can either check the scroll down at the bottom, or you can type !help in the chat, as Fellowship of the Tables has already done. And that number, where trained professionals are standing by to talk to you, is 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or you can text 741-741. You are valuable, and if you need to talk to somebody questioning that, please do not hesitate. Use that line. We love you. We want you to get the help that you. In the meantime, we are going to delve into our escape from reality. Play some Dungeons and Dragons. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a quick recap of the last session. Upon arriving in Saltmarsh after a brief side trek with a new acquaintance and perhaps new friend, Captain Ira, the Sea Elf, who also appears to have a bit of a history with old Captain Dervish there. Went on a side trek and managed to acquire some magical items, fought some harpies. But while they were involved in that whole situation, it was clear that Griveth's corruption was coming to a head. It was getting out of control. But he had been told, and they had learned, that there was help to be sought in Saltmarsh. So as soon as Captain Ira and her crew delivered the Dawnbringers to Saltmarsh, they immediately headed towards the temple where they sought out the help of the Weeping Friars. And that is where they ran into Mateus, an acolyte, a violet-hued, I knew Megan was about to jump in with his name, a violet-hued tiefling who, with the help of all of the others, was able to free Griveth through an all-night ritual of the corruption. Keep me posted, everybody. I'm seeing in the chat, I can't help but notice it. Apparently, some people are reporting that my mic is cutting in and out. I'm not seeing that showing on my levels at all. It could be a Twitch issue, depending on the strength of your connection. Some people are saying that it's okay for them. But if it gets too bad, we'll take a look at it. You guys haven't heard me cutting out, right? Which leads me to believe it's the Twitch stream. Because these guys are hearing me just fine. So, although it is possible, if my filtering is all that maybe some of my words aren't coming through, I'll just get really close and talk like this all night. Welcome to Saltmarsh, Dawnbringers. And thank you, Megan, for adding the Canadian National Suicide Hotline. Canadian friends. So the ritual was completed. A new day is dawning for the Dawnbringers here in Saltmarsh. As morning comes, and some of you had an active role throughout the night, some of you did a small part, and then perhaps went off somewhere to sleep, waiting for the ritual to be completed. Eventually, you are all reunited, with the exception of Talmud, who muttered something about needing a drink and wandered off in search of a tavern. So Talmud is nowhere to be found. However, a noticeably different Griveth, free of the corruption for the first time in a long time. For the Dawnbringers, it would be for the first time in probably about 3 months. Griveth joins you all. Griveth, what do you say upon rejoining your party after this ritual?
Griveth looks at you all, knows that you had something to do with, his rebirth, him able to get rid of this corruption, to purge his body of this vile corruption that he actually brought on himself. And like he said last time, he came to the realization that, although he gets his powers from his goddess, and he has this deep connection to her, it's really the Dawnbringers who are the anchor. The Dawnbringers are the ones who he struggles with every day against the evils of the world, who bring him strength and comfort and camaraderie, and put up with his, he's a bit embarrassed too, because he realizes, he was acting out. That's an understatement. He was acting out. His emotions weren't in check. Griveth has always had some problems with that, but it was really, he was really losing control of himself, and so there's a level of him that's embarrassed about that. But it's not a big part, because he understands that the Dawnbringers, if they didn't care about him, they wouldn't have been there. They wouldn't have gone through this ritual. They wouldn't have dragged him to this place. They wouldn't have put up with him for all this time. So, it's not that aspect of it isn't bringing him down. It's just a small aspect that he's thought about, but it's out of his mind. He's ready to face whatever challenges we have in this new land. I mean, and he also says that, we've got to band together, because we don't know what we're facing here. We're foreigners. We're we don't know the lay of the land. We don't know the law, all the laws of the land. We don't know, like, the nuances of things. We could get in trouble very easily. So we've got to all look out for each other. But keep our mission. Our mission to make the world a better place for the decent folk, of the world, and the people that deserve protection.
So this is after we've had sleep, or is this immediately after?
Well, it depends.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I'm like,
it depends on whether or not you were one of the ones that participated all night in the ritual.
I was.
Then you haven't had any real sleep yet.
So as based on what I had said I was doing and how the ritual was going, I apparently have talked for the last 12 hours, constantly casting spells. So,
however,
Thorgarn's voice is really hoarse.
Your voice is hoarse, but all of you that participated in the ritual, even Cantriel, who provided the light for the waterfall at the temple and chose to stay downstairs and outside, all of you that were a part of this all-night ritual find that you are not exhausted, that you feel, surprisingly, you feel as though you received a full night's rest, and you have the full benefits of having received a long rest. If you are down, so go ahead and with your D&D Beyond character sheets, you can go ahead and just click that you've received a long rest. So you would not have expended any spell slots, you would have recovered any lost hit points, etc. The power of Eldath was present in this ritual.
Jake, can I ask what form the charm takes?
Give me a second, because I know exactly what you're talking about. But I haven't looked at it since I told you about it. So give me one quick second. Where did it go? I think that this charm is represented in, you would notice this upon regaining your gear. You have that sort of lenticular artwork that's on your shield that as you move it around, the light catches it and it makes it appear as though the waterfall is actually cascading. But you've noticed that there is now a figure that is in the artwork, and as it moves around, she appears to be moving just gently, sort of just enough to make it almost look like she's alive, like just subtle movements. But you also notice that the way her hands are positioned, even though they subtly change, She's like holding one hand out with 5 fingers, and in the other one she's pointing generally towards the waterfall, indicating the number 6. So that is how that charm is represented.
My goddess is with us. We can use this. I can use this if I need it.
So, what is the plans for us now that we're finally here? There was some indecision amongst our group as to how helpful we would be, or if this is the right place. So we need to, I guess, meet back up with the captain and figure out where we're supposed to go.
Yeah, I guess we should do our obligations first. Weren't we supposed to help the dwarves? Or was we just supposed to help them get here?
I believe we were coming to observe.
Well,
See if we wanted to take on what we needed to do.
Yes, and we definitely want to make sure we're actually keeping a very close eye on things, considering a few comments I heard on the way towards this lovely locale.
What did you hear?
Your kind isn't exactly welcome, nor is mine.
Well, there's a lot that feel that no matter where you go.
Yes, it seems to be more based on the fact that they keep shipping us in.
We'll definitely keep an eye out for that kind of danger.
Yeah, that seems to be something to definitely be aware of. And if they're getting stirred up about strangers coming in, who's to say what's going to happen when more come?
Right, that's a great point.
So
go ahead, Jake.
You all are standing outside or at the base of this tower. It is early morning. The sun is up. It is probably the equivalent of about 7 a.m. But already you had walked into the town of Saltmarsh a little ways, heading towards this tower. And already, even from this vantage point, looking back towards the docks, you can see that the town is a hive of bustling activity, with most of the activity centered around the docks. But people are already beginning to move to and fro within this town. And Cantriel, because you've already made allusion to what you've heard regarding the temperance, I guess, towards the dwarves in particular. Do you remember a particular comment that was said about the disposition of the dwarves? It's been 2 weeks. That's what
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to 2 weeks and a couple of games in between. Wasn't it something like surly?
So I'm going to go ahead and give you this because it was with your high passive perception. It was something you overheard. One of the last comments you heard from the two, and if you remember, they were a couple of fishermen that looked like a father and son.
And they pulled on the ear at one point too.
Yeah, they were just kind of, just sort of indicating their own personal, maybe lack of respect even for, for the elves as well. They were a couple of humans. But one of the comments that you heard was they mentioned that they were thankful that the dwarves were in quarantine.
Oh, right. That's right. The quarantine factor.
Yep. So that you alone have picked up that little piece of information. And you have the town of Saltmarsh at your disposal. What would you like to do? I'm gonna try something. I don't know if this is gonna work.
Were we given a contact, or was it just like we were coming over with a group?
You were with
hired us.
You were with your contract. Manistrad Copperlocks works for the mining concern, and she was among those on when you went to go with Captain Ira on that little side quest. Dervish and the crew, along with Manistrad, said that they would meet you in Saltmarsh as they delivered the dwarves back to Saltmarsh. So that's the extent of anybody you would know in town.
So we need to get back to the captain and...
So we need to find the captain and Manistrad and see what our first task mission is.
Probably for the best, and catch up and see what's happened with them.
So I guess we'll head to the docks.
Well, unless there's a different place to put a boat. Although with that boat, who knows, it might fly and set itself on a tree.
And for your reference, I did drop a map. I think it's going to load a map in our chat, our Facebook group chat, of the region. Is that loading? Because on my screen, it's not. All right, give it a minute. There it is. All right, so just so you guys know where you are, and I'll try to get this set up for future streams, where Mike Schley, who did the maps, recently made available a horizontally oriented version of this map, which will make it easier to display here. So if you look where it says Kingfish River, just south of that copse of trees on the west side of town, that sort of pool in the right angle of the river, that is where the island that has the tower of the Weeping Friars is located. And so you are on the emerging onto the street side there, with the town more or less directly east of you, and actually, correction, that would be south of you based on the compass rose. So up on the map is east, and it extending in either direction. You don't know what anything is except the docks.
So that's a big stretch of docks. Mayhaps we'll find somebody who might know something to point us in the right direction. Or we're going to spend the whole day searching.
And since it was brought up in the last session, when you did turn right to head east along that road towards the tower, that bridge, that large bridge that goes across the river near where it opens into the bay, is the bridge that you all saw that appeared to have many structures on it. And it was nighttime, so it was illuminated. But yeah, so you guys are saying maybe you want to head to the docks?
And find a very chatty sailor.
I assume you're looking for a particular chatty sailor.
Cantriel is.
All right. So as you all begin walking along and heading toward back towards the docks, you notice that the general mood of the town seems to be pretty on par with a lot of cities you've been in. You see that there's a lot of fishing vessels that are coming in and out of the area by the docks. There's already people that are cleaning fish, transporting fish. You can smell the smokehouses in the air that are smoking the fish, which seems to kind of mask that the cruder smell of the fish and the fish being cleaned, etc., etc. Generally speaking, you see a few people that are already, clapping backs, congratulating one another on a good haul. Meanwhile, there'll be a couple other people that they're mending nets and grumbling about wish we had their luck. Cantriel, you notice the father and son duo from yesterday appear to be in the latter group. They did not have much luck so far, but it's very telling that it's only 7 o'clock in the morning and already people are talking about good hauls. Either this morning or in the previous days. So the general mood is probably leaning towards an overall brighter disposition with occasional surly folk. But despite the demeanors of the people, the four of you are catching a few glances. The bulk of this town, you do see a few people dressed in finery, nobility moving through the town, merchants perhaps. You see some of the people in more working class clothes that represent the fishermen. You do see a handful, very small here and there, no pun intended, dwarves that have the grime of the mines, possibly a night shift, having finished their shift coming into town. But overall, you get a lot of double takes as you walk through. A human normally wouldn't be cause for notice, except for the armor with the fanciful shield, the elf, the clockwork individual, and the dwarf armed to the teeth. And you guys aren't from this region, so people, you're getting a few just sort of just curt nods as people realize that you're noticing them notice you.
I will do whatever, I can, regardless of how they're looking at me, whether it's, surly or, neutral. I will endeavor to deliver a smile and a wave.
Give me a just general charisma check.
9.
As you smile in response, the couple of people that you get that catch your smile, their general look turns to a bit of a frown, and then they just kind of quickly turn back to what they're doing. Not an overtly bad reaction, but not exactly returning your smiles either.
I will endeavor to remain as friendly as possible.
So it doesn't take you long, less than 10 minutes, and you find yourself back at the docks where you disembarked a mere about 12 hours ago. Except now everything is in daylight, and you can see now that the Evangeline is actually not at the docks. You can actually see there's that little island to the south of the dock area and the bay that has a tiny little channel between it. East of that, up above that island, the Evangeline is anchored, and there are a couple of smaller vessels that are just a couple of long ships that are, I'd say 3 of them that are in a line blocking the Evangeline's entrance into the bay.
I am assuming that this is not proper protocol for ships?
They didn't do it for us.
Yes, so this might explain something. They mentioned something about quarantined. So for some reason, they're keeping them away from Saltmarsh.
Oh, the ship? Quarantine the ship?
Well, why else would it be down there and not here?
Good point.
Could there be some sort of sickness?
Well, I mean, I didn't notice anything untoward outside of, Talmud. He's the only one who displayed any type of sickness, but that was more due to the waves than anything else.
So, would we happen to know any, organization that Manistrad was working for that we might be able to look here, or we talk to a dockmaster to find out what's going on with the ship?
Well, I suppose it couldn't hurt. Or maybe see if we can hire a private rowboat and shout at them from the boat.
More water.
What's wrong with the water? It's fine.
He just doesn't want to take his armor off again.
Well,
Exactly.
I think we're all in agreement on that one, considering. Well, I guess maybe we can find out more about the island. What's at the island, how to get to the island.
Cantriel, with your passive perception, you notice that there is a figure, that is seems to be human sized, but is shrouded in a cloak with the hood drawn. And as you've been moving through the docks and they've sort of been moving in and out of the crowd, and as you have stopped to look out across the bay towards the Evangeline, the figure has stopped. They're about maybe 30 feet away from you near a building. They appear to be idly looking through some wares on one of the fishmonger's tables, but you catch a glint of an unshaven face and blue eyes of somebody looking at you, and as you look at them, they quickly look away. You're muted.
Because stairs. Right, that's not suspicious at all. I'll give me one moment, and she'll start walking towards this figure, looking like she's looking around, not staring at the figure dead on.
Are you trying to sneak up on them, or are you trying to come up on them in their line of sight?
Trying to casually pass by, but not let them know that she's locked onto them.
Give me a stealth check.
Okay. Hold on. That means I need a D. All right. Switch over to character sheet, and we have. Ooh, this could be promising. It's going to be an 18.
As you're approaching, you actually see a moment where they look up and then they sort of do this looking back and forth. You see the hooded head just sort of darting around. They appear to have lost sight of you, though they see the others standing over there. So if you want to approach unnoticed to this person, you have the drop on them.
Oh, that would be lovely. Yeah, I'll do the fun little tap on one shoulder, but like pop over to the other side type of thing.
100% falls for it with a with a 4 on their perception. Completely looks and kind of looks startled, and almost looks like they're going to take off running, and then turns and suddenly sees you there, and they start, and as they do, you see the hood slips a little bit, and I don't think you met this man, but you recognize him, because you spent a few days with him on the Evangeline. He's part of the crew of the Evangeline, and I don't think you met the cook. So you would have known when the crew was introduced to you, though, that this is Roland, the cook. God, by the gods, what are you doing? Scared the crap out of me.
Well, let's see. There's a strange cloaked figure wandering around looking after me. What do you think I'm going to do?
Keep your voice down. I was looking for you.
Why?
You've noticed that the ship, it's not at the docks, it's out there in the harbour.
Well, yes, that's rather obvious.
But there's no reason for that to be, except when we came into port, they wouldn't let us come in.
I heard something about quarantine.
They've got Captain Dervish, and they've got Giselle and Matilda locked up at the barracks jail.
Locked.
They've got all the dwarves and the ship and the rest of the crew on some BS charge of, well, they're claiming they could be diseased. And they've got Giselle, Matilda, and Captain Dervish in the jail on charges of slavery. They're claiming that they haven't even seen the dwarves, and they know that we were bringing dwarves over. But this has got to be... I don't know who's at work here.
This smells like 3-day-old fish.
That's the traditionalists. They don't like the dwarves. They don't want them here.
Got wind of that. They don't like my kind either much, it seems, either.
I think that's more just individuals that have their own problems. The town on the whole, even some of them, from what we've seen in the past, they don't have a problem with dwarves generally. It's the fact that most of the dwarves are here specifically as part of the mining operation.
That's sort of the feeling I was getting. It was the shipping more of them in was the issue, not so much that whichever. But Matilda, Giselle, and the captain in the jail for slavery. Ha! Right. How long have they been there?
Since we got here, from what I could tell, we got here about a half a day before you lot did. So they've been in there a day.
All right.
But if they're going to try to make these stick, and I don't see how they can, but if they're going to try and do it, well, slavery carries a very steep penalty, and let's just say they won't be serving jail time.
No. They might get a little swing time in, though.
I was hoping maybe you could, maybe you folk could talk to some of the people in charge here.
Well, I'm certainly for figuring out the hows and the whys of it and getting them out of there. I'll let the others know what's happening.
Well, here's what I know. You're going to want to stay clear of the traditionalists. They're the ones that are behind this. I don't know who exactly, but from the loyalists, there's a couple of people that can be trusted. Most specifically, and I know this is going to sound daft with them being locked up in jail, but it's actually the leader of the City Watch, Eleander Fireborn. He's going to be one that will be most likely to hear what you have to say. Unfortunately, if he was told by anybody on the council to lock them up, he's going to do what's told. He's a lawful man, a decorated veteran, and one hell of a historian.
And you
Maybe
said
he'll listen.
Fireborn's his surname.
Eleander Fireborn. He's a veteran of many of the wars here in Keeland, having served at one time in the Royal Armies.
Well, I mean, they tend to be a little bit more reasonable with others who have fought in battles. And he's a loyalist.
Fought for the king's crown. And it's the king that have sent the dwarves here.
All right.
It's the king's that has the interest in the mining concern. The traditionalists, they all I've been able to pick up is that they fear the change. They fear that if the dwarves, if they don't, first of all, they fear that they're going to dig up something that they shouldn't dig up. But if they are successful in the mining operation, it's going to bring even more people in business here to town, and it's going to threaten their livelihoods in the fishing trades.
And they don't like change.
You got that right.
Oh, that was rather obvious. Well, this is quite good to know. Anything else that you have that might be useful?
That's about all I've got, all I've been able to pick up. They didn't notice I was able to get away from the ship. I'm just trying to stay around here, keep my ears to the ground. Keep an eye out for me. If anything develops, and I'll come looking for you. If I come up with anything.
Definitely. We'll reconvene. Is there a tavern around here that you like to go to? Perhaps make a point of meeting around the same time each night, going there, just grab a drink and see if the other's there.
There's
something more quiet, perhaps not well attended.
Yeah, there's a couple of taverns here. Probably the one that you're gonna want to look for is, I'll tell you in a moment. I just had it. It is called. Where did it go? I must have passed it. Sorry, my eyes have been getting worse, and these monitors are so small that I'm tilting my head back to utilize my bifocals to the best of their ability.
Doing the trombone?
I'm old.
Well, join the club, Shani.
Here it is. The Wicker Goat.
The Wicker Goat.
I think that place was the first building that was ever built here. Before they even started fishing, they built the Wicker Goat. It's an old place.
Right. Let's plan to meet there around sundown.
Aye, I'll keep my eyes. I'll keep my eyes on the ship. See if anything changes, and I'll meet you there sundown.
Sounds good. Probably best I come by myself, though. If we all come together, it's only going to draw attention.
And that's up to you how you play that. Though the Wicker Goat's probably the one place your lot wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb.
Really?
Well, it's a tavern on a port city. You're just strangers. The longer you're around here, maybe people get used to seeing you, but you're out of curiosity, and, well, your dwarf friends are drawing a little extra attention, and the metal one, for whatever reason, is, well, people are going to have their eyes drawn to that one.
That's sort of the nature of the course with that one. Right. Well, I'm glad that I caught you.
Right, just try to let me know if you're coming next time. I've only got the one pair of trousers.
A little tap on the shoulder on the other side shouldn't scare the bejesus out of you, and then some.
Right. Well, until sundown. And surprisingly, as he sort of tips his head to you, he takes a step into the crowd and almost seamlessly blends in to a passing group. Your eyes trail him for a little bit, but he very quickly just blends in with the people and gets lost in the crowd. So yeah, that was Roland, the cook of the Evangeline, who is now is a local is keeping an eye out from the docks for anything for you guys.
Okay.
All right, what would you like to do now?
I will head back to the party.
While Cantriel was talking to this individual, were the three of you just kind of watching, or were you having any conversations of your own? What were the three of you guys doing?
I
So-
think Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you started talking first.
I think that Fig would turn to Griveth. Are you feeling better now? That ritual was quite enlightening.
I am. Yes, Fig. Thank you. How so?
Just the movements. I've never seen anything so arcane, and yet so... There was something else. I can feel arcane, but there was something more.
Fig,
Something...
this was clearly divine. You know,
Yes.
both Griveth and I wield divine power instead of arcane. So that's the movements of magical energies, inspired and granted by the gods, very different than the energies manipulated by mortals.
You actually got to feel that.
We were a part of it. It's bizarre being exhausted and energized at the same time. Doing the same repetitive motions for countless hours. Essentially, I've done much in my time as an acolyte, yet nothing I've done has prepared me for what transpired last evening.
What is it like when you cast magic, Fig?
That is a very interesting question that no one has asked me. It is like... You see how this moves through me, and he holds out his arm, and you see the blue kind of pumping through the bubbles, and you can see them moving. You see this move. This is what keeps me alive. This is what helps me. In the same way, I feel magic in the world flowing through, and I am allowed to pick some of it and use it.
You're truly wondrous and special. Never forget that. You're special.
So do you feel the magic in everything, or like, can you? And I'll hold out my warhammer. Like, do you know that this is magic just by being in its presence?
Objects are rather difficult. I am not... That is rather... what is the word? Ironic, since I am made of parts and am magical, but cannot detect magic in parts.
That's not ironic at all. I mean, you're a living creature. Don't let anyone consider you an object. If you want to use the term parts, I mean, I've got an arm and a leg. I have parts too. I mean, that's...
I can sense human parts that have magic.
Interesting.
I'm curious, Griveth. What do you remember from the ritual?
It's fading quickly, but something, a dark tree, and I remember seeing my goddess and a waterfall, and it's all becoming a blur to me now. It's more of a feeling than anything that's left. Just a feeling of being cleansed, being back to who I am.
Once we have a bit of time, if you don't mind, I would like to hear about your experience. I am writing about what had happened that night, from all points of view. You too, Thorgarn. I would enjoy hearing what you went through.
But by all means. And I guess, Griveth, if you're really a new man after this, then I guess it's only right but weird at the same time to actually introduce myself and Fig, because we only ever knew the other guy. So
That's what I was thinking too. Did you ever know when I didn't have the corruption?
no,
I don't think you did.
we
No.
we met you after the supposed tree. So
Griveth kind of puts both his hands out. It's nice to meet you, Fig. It's nice to meet you, Thorgarn. It's very nice to meet both of you.
well, it is odd to be introduced to somebody who you've fought, bled, and adventured with, but we have your back, and hopefully you have ours. And
Always, yes.
the just remember that if darker powers attempt to arise, those bonds who hold us together, and I'll hold up my forearm, showing the bracer that everyone should be wearing now.
Yeah.
This has been blessed to help guide us on our path and to save our minds from that which might come after us.
I do feel though that this dark power was not destroyed. It may have been defeated for now, but I have a feeling it's not destroyed, and it may be lurking somewhere waiting for me. So
Well,
we should be vigilant.
well, we can be vigilant.
Thank you, friend.
It is Cantriel who will be watchful. Her eyes are far better than mine.
She catches everything.
About that time, this whole time people are moving around you, and your voices, there's not really any fear that anybody's listening in on your conversation, as the din of the crowd passing by is significant enough that your voices just sort of blend in with everyone else. People have been moving to and fro, and for the most part have been steering clear of you in the way that you would just avoid the people that are standing still on the edge of a crowded street. But a group of individuals, about 4 humans, come by, and they're pushing a cart, and one of them seems to be in charge. There's a couple barrels on there, and he's hollering at the others to watch where they're going, and suddenly one of the barrels comes loose and breaks free of the cart, kind of bounces on the pavement. It doesn't break, but it clips into your legs, Fig, and kind of catches you completely unaware, and you find yourself just knocked prone in a clatter of your arms and limbs and gear. And as you land, there's a sound of metal scattering, not very far, but your coin purse falls from your belt, and a few coins spill out onto the ground. But you're laying right there amidst them, and the individual, as they crash into you, is immediately yelling at these other 3. Pick it up! Look what you've done! You're knocking things over and knocking people over! And barking orders at them, and you see a shadow fall across you, as suddenly somebody kneels down next to you and immediately begins to scoop up your coins. But this person isn't taking them. They're kind of quickly almost have formed a block between the crowd and you, as they pick up this handful of coins, brushing them together into their hand. And you see, kind of from your vantage point, as you take this in, you see very well manicured nails with a very almost sapphire-like blue polish on them. Very smooth, uncalloused hands, slightly pale, and you see the sleeves of silk of blue that also match the nails as you take in the figure who appears to be an elven woman. And the rest of you kind of at the same time can see this elven woman who has knelt down next to Fig and seems to be, she's already holding a hand out to you, Fig, to help you to your feet. She has long, dark hair with traces of blue in it. And her skin, again, her face very pale, very elven features with these piercing sapphire blue eyes. And it's pure coincidence. I'm not describing V. But all of a sudden V's going to show up wearing a blue silk shirt and blue nails. But this woman, she holds a hand out, and you see she's actually wearing a black skirt that is very narrow, and goes almost all the way down to the ground. It seems almost like it extends out, almost like a robe's. And she holds her hand out to you, and in the other hand has all these gold coins.
I can imagine that Fig is in a heap of limbs and gears, and you see this hand reach out and grasp her own, and the arm is only kind of at the elbow, and it kind of stops. There's some ligaments and gears kind of loosely dangling, and then all of a sudden she feels no pressure on her arm as Fig just kind of begins to reassemble himself. And soon her arm is raised a little bit as he is now standing there.
And as you sort of stand rearranging yourself, with this sort of clack and clatter of gears and metal, she sort of rises, keeping pace with you as you change your position and reform yourself together. She doesn't bat an eye. She doesn't seem taken aback by this demonstration, as she still holds onto your hand. And she says, "That's unfortunate, but you really do have to watch yourself around here. The bustle of the town can be a bit much if you're not used to it. You have to navigate it like a fast-flowing river. I saw it was about to happen. I tried to warn you, but it was too late. But also, you should watch your coin purses here in the town as well. There are many that would be quick to cut your purse, or had I not intervened, to claim these coins for their own."
Well, I am very glad that you are not one of those people. And thank you for thank you for helping me.
Oh, it was the least I could do, I must admit. And for the first time, her piercing blue eyes break away from yours as she kind of looks beyond you. And this is about the time, Cantriel, as you were heading over, you heard the clatter, and you kind of walk up as she's just noticing the others. "I must admit, you and your companions do draw a bit of, well, you draw the eye towards yourselves. Please, of course, mean no offense to you. It's merely strangers here in Saltmarsh tend to be noticed, particularly when they are so the word just escaped me.
So I'll
exotic. It's particularly if they are as exotic
So
as you are.
I'll chime in at that moment. It's the Mohawk.
I'm sure you that has played no small part in drawing notice to your little band of travelers, Master Dwarf.
No master here. Just dwarf.
Pardon me, I am ever so rude. My name is the Lady Vantage. It is a pleasure to meet you and to welcome you to the port town of Saltmarsh. And she actually looks over at you, Cantriel, as you come up, and she says, I wondered if perhaps you were with them. And it takes you a moment to realize that she has just spoken to you in Elvish.
I'd reply back. They're with me and I'm with them. Is something wrong?
Oh no, I merely tried to intervene before your companion here was bowled over by the bustling activity of the streets here. But as I was saying, my eye was drawn to the curious nature of your exotic party, and I simply had to come over and introduce myself. And already, Fig, she has sort of taken your other hand and placed your coins back into your hand. As I said, my name is the Lady Vantage. And you are?
I'm Cantriel.
Is she speaking common now?
Yeah, she has gone back to, just the one sentence she said in Elvish.
Now the question is, does anyone else speak Elvish, or is Cantriel the one who was smart enough to take Dwarf?
So Fig would have picked up on that as well.
All right, cool.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have Elvish. So I am Thorgarn Spirit Caller.
Thorgarn. She inclines her head slightly towards you. And you, as she looks over at you, Griveth.
He gets a little excited at that. After quickly making sure that Fig is okay, her tumble was okay, or his tumble was okay, I'm sorry. He turns to the lady and says, "My lady, we are at your service."
Be careful, he has a type.
Well,
anything we can do to help you. We are always at your service.
I appreciate your so valiantly offering your services. I can only assume from your stature, your willingness to help, and the symbol of Eldath upon your shield that you are a paladin of the Divine Lady. And in Elvish, she kind of says almost out of the side of her mouth to you, Cantriel, "Fear not, I also have a type, and it's not him."
Oh, she totally replied, "That doesn't seem to deter him much."
As she turns to you, Fig, and I'm sorry, I should have asked your name first. You are?
I am Figure 2 Prometheus, but everyone calls me Fig.
Curious. Figure 2 Prometheus. If you will permit me, I would also like to call you Fig.
That is quite all right.
Oh, okay. With a proclamation of mission complete, our patron has donated 7 domain. Yep, of course, 7 domain dice, just so that we can do this. And I'm going to do it this way, just because it looks cooler. So I'm going to strike those, and I'm going to Go here. You guys have 100 domain dice. Now, technically, I can go 5 more. But I'm actually going to knock it back to this so that we can actually see the dice. Look at that. 100 domain dice. Thank you, Chameleon Fam.
We did it! We did it! Yay!
Start using them. While we're on a quick aside, and we are going to take a break here in a moment, since the party has just been introduced to the Lady Vantage, and I'm sure they will have some things to say in conversation. We're going to take a quick break. Huge thank you, of course, to the Domain Dice patron himself, Chameleon Fam, Joey P. We love you, and we so genuinely appreciate your support. But also to the Maharishi 66 for cheering 100 bits, and of course to our own illustrious moderator, Fellowship of the Tables, having dropped 500 bits and contributed to that Domain Dice pool. We appreciate you all so much, and that you join us each week when you can, and genuinely appreciate your generosity. One thing I did want to say, for those of you that have not yet updated subs, or if you're considering subbing, Twitch is running what they call Subtember. All tier 1 subscriptions are 50% off, and you can gift subs at a discount as well. Just a little motivation if you're on the fence about thinking about subbing. And also on that note, if you are an Amazon Prime person and you link your account to Twitch, you do get 1 free subscription every month, and you could use that. When we reach 35 sub points, we unlock another emote. So we got a little ways to go to that, but all subscribers get to use those handy little icons, the emotes, in the chat. So with that, we are going to take a 10-minute break, refresh your beverages, take your bile break, do what you got to do, and we're going to come back for some more adventures in Saltmarsh right after this. Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is The Intermission. Mini Terrain Domain, or MTD, is a channel dedicated to the love of and participation in the world of tabletop role-playing games. Whether we're designing encounters or miniature terrain, building worlds or dice towers, or just playing games, everything we do here is because we love this amazing hobby. That is why the mission statement of Mini Terrain Domain is simply imagine, build, play. If you like to watch live play or actual play D&D games, you can do so at twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain 3 days a week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays, you can join us for Cult of Personality, a long-running campaign set in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure setting. On Mondays, you can join us for All That Glitters, a Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign guaranteed to be epic proportions. And every Thursday night, you can join us for Dawnbringers, the Forge of Fury. This is a series of mini campaigns going across the gamut of several well-known modules. Season 1, which is available on youtube.com/Mini Terrain Domain, took place in the Sunless Citadel, and Season 2 is currently taking place in the Forge of Fury. If you can't join us in the chat for our live shows, that's okay. You can usually catch the roleplay, or rather the replay, on YouTube just 2 days later. If you're a fan of what we do here and you'd like to support what we do, there are a variety of ways you can do this. First, simply follow the Twitch channel or hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Next, make sure you follow all of the participants of each game or show on their various social media platforms. To do this, if you're watching live with us on Twitch, you can simply type an exclamation point and that person's name into the Twitch chat Or on YouTube, you can look down below the information bar, and all of their links can be found there. Finally, if you would like to provide monetary support, which flows right back into the production of the channel, so we can continue making great content, you can join the growing list of patrons on Patreon. Additionally, you can also use Ko-Fi or Coffee to buy a coffee or two. I like coffee. But the absolute best way to support the channel is to follow and subscribe on Twitch and YouTube and join us in the chat. If you have an Amazon Prime account and you link it to your Twitch account, you can subscribe to one channel per month absolutely free. No matter what you decide to do, we are just happy to have you here. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more great content in just a few moments. Remember, metadata!
Hi everyone, I'm V, and I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse. Please be sure to go over there and check it out if you too would like to learn how to make some tabletop terrain, paint miniatures, as well as some game accessories. I'm always happy to have new subscribers over there.
Learn the ways of the Game Master, the Dungeon Master, and delve into the minds of the players. If you're looking for adventure, excitement, thrills, and a dice-rolling good time, grab the modules each month and play the campaign with your gaming group with quest givers DM Scotty and DMG. They're taking you on an epic journey through the role-playing experience every Friday. You're sure to get hooked on adventure.
And we really liked the idea of creating adventures together, so we thought that'd be a lot of fun to share with you guys.
I didn't think this kind of stuff would come out of my brain. We are quest givers, and I'll see you in the next video.
Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is a collection of 4 adventures for the 5th edition of the world's most popular role-playing game. The adventures are setting neutral and meant to be seamlessly dropped into any world that has a large seaside city and a jungle environment. With a bit of adaptation, the environments could be changed to suit any group. In Treaty of the Tiger King by Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, a distant king arrives at the city to negotiate the peaceful end of a war, but the mercenary guild has other insidious plans for him. Will the players be able to thwart assassination attempts against King Rami and help him negotiate circles of social intrigue in order to finally end the war? In Madness of the Majestic Menagerie by Ken Brees of Burling's Beard, the famous Majestic Menagerie draws hordes of visitors to the metropolis and cultural hub known since time immemorial as Splendor by the Sea. But now the gates of the famous zoo have been shut, and the grand opening of the new section has been jeopardized by a spate of mysterious accidents and, it's whispered, grievous injuries due to uncontrollable creatures. Mr. Majestic seeks to hire investigators and troubleshooters who can keep a low profile to iron out any problems before the impending grand opening becomes a complete disaster. Do you have what it takes to uncover what's driving the madness that's befallen the Majestic Menagerie? In The Infernal Collection by Sharong Biswas, when an influential fashion designer is found dead days before a major fashion show, heroes are called in to solve the mystery, prevent any further destruction, and help the fashion house prepare for the show. Gorillas in Their Midst by Jacob W. Norman of Mini Terrain Domain is a pulp action adventure wrought with perilous challenges and a high possibility of death. But what is adventure without danger? Of course, there is the lure of vast piles of unclaimed treasure and the accompanying fame that await those intrepid adventurers who would defy the odds and plunge into the heart of darkness. In this adventure, the characters will face raging river rapids, wicked waterfalls, poisonous plants, venomous vines, sinking sands, treacherous traps, and the vicious jungle demon itself, Awakane Gori. Grab your satchels, fedoras, and bullwhips. Adventure awaits. The Adventure Mixtape also comes with 4 original songs inspired by and written for the heroic adventures herein. This collection of music and story is something unique. We had no better word for it than mixtape. If you ever received a cassette, CD, or digital playlist curated to take you on a memorable journey, then you'll recognize what you find inside this volume. Also included in the Adventure Mixtape, courtesy of Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, are exclusive combat cards. Special cards that contain all of the items, monsters, and spellcasters found within these adventures to make running your adventure all the more easier. Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is available exclusively on drivethrurpg.com.
Griveth, once home to the most wondrous kingdom the world had ever known, blasted to nothing in just a fortnight. It is here that the fiends of hell walk among us. It is here where all things die. Welcome to Griveth. Demon invaders roam the landscape and have conquered all. The world is a ravaged and wrathful wasteland, where the old world lies buried beneath the blood and sand with its gods and its secrets. Water is fought over with blood and steel. Compatible with the 5th edition of the world's oldest fantasy role-playing game, this book contains all new character creation options, including all of the familiar classes with new aspects befitting the ravaged wastelands of Griveth, along with new backgrounds, subclasses, spells, feats, and so much more. New races will allow you to play as the Cursed Ash Elves, the Forsaken Humans, the Primordial Incarnate, the Proud Orcs, the Reptilian Suri, or the Infernal-Blooded Tieflings. New game mechanics such as blood, grit, and effort give your games an intense focus on lethality and survival. Numerous roll tables full of ideas to help bring your games to life. Featuring incredible thematic art by Brandish Gilhelm of Runehammer Games, as well as Lloyd Collins. The people of Griveth are not heroes. In Griveth it is courage just to survive. Will you rise to face the tide of demons, or will you succumb to the hostile elements? Available now on drivethrurpg.com.
And we're back. And before we jump right back in to see what these characters have to say to their newly acquainted Lady Vantage, I meant to give Mr. Scotty the floor at the beginning of the stream because Scotty of theDMsCraft and Gareth of theDMG.info have teamed up. You know they have if you've been watching the stream. They have a little side project. You just saw a commercial during the break for the Quest Givers. Scotty, tell us what's going on for the Quest Givers. What do you got going on this month?
Hey guys. Okay, so we actually have a Kickstarter this month for Quest Givers. And what we want to do is we want to do the whole campaign, the whole 12-part campaign, 12-module campaign in a book with there'll be 4 quick quests also. So I'll put all that in the book with extra material. So you have actually have a book that you can hold and not just a PDFs, but we're going to have PDFs too with it, but we're also going to have the book. So that's what we're doing with our Kickstarter. And we'd love it if you guys would help support Quest Givers, DMG Info, and myself. I've been running this campaign myself. My players love it. It's so fun. Great and interesting stuff. We have all kinds of monsters you've never seen before, interesting NPCs, cool mysteries, and it's just a fun time with just packed with hours and hours and hours of material for your group. So I hope you would consider it and check out the link. It's is it !Quest?
I've already put it in the chat. !Quest brings up the link to the Quest Givers Kickstarter.
All right, and we'll get back to the game. I just want to tell you guys about that. So
yeah,
thanks again for the
absolutely. We're
support.
very excited to see our friends when they have awesome products and projects to promote. In the same way we supported Ted and Nerdarchy's amazing Kickstarter, and of course with V and her channel, and Meg and the Cryfoth, now quest givers as well. Okay, it has officially just happened thanks to Spike. During the break, somebody, an anonymous person, gifted 5 people in the chat gift subscriptions for 1 month. That pushed us up to 105. With the 1,000 bits, we are now at 107 domain dice. So I'm going to have to start tracking these things on paper until I can update the graphics to include. Apparently, I'm just going to have to go for another 100, bring it up to 200, or I'm just going to have to put you guys up against a dragon or two to
We'll just roll some extra dice tonight. That's all. We'll help bring it down.
Well, we'll see what happens with the Lady Vantage. Wink. I'm just kidding. All right, so back to the game. You have just been introduced to this mysterious, dark-haired, pale-skinned, elven woman with the piercing sapphire eyes, matching sapphire nails, and a sapphire-colored blouse of silk. She has introduced herself to all of you. What would you like to do? Do you carry on your conversation with her, or what?
So, Lady Vantage, beyond our interesting group here, what brought you over, to engage us in conversation? Who is Lady Vantage?
You are a very discerning dwarf. Well, it is true that I came over here to speak to you because I was drawn to your peculiar nature. I happen to be moving through the town as I do every day, picking up odds and ends. I like to do a bit of my own shopping. It is nothing more than that.
I mean, no offense to you or the others here, but you don't seem to be the same type of person that dwells here.
Oh, there are a few in the nobility in and around Saltmarsh, some of whom are, well, they've been here for quite some time and are a bit more traditional in their viewpoints, and others who have come along with the new wave, people who root for the success of the dwarven mining operation. Yes, nobles, you will always find nobility powering behind the city. The gears and cogs, as it were. And with that statement, she sort of almost gives you a wink, Fig, that keep the wheels of commerce and progress moving.
Well, then, if you are indeed nobility, I'll give a bow, and if you don't mind my asking, we have learned that there are some hardships to my kind here, and there's a bit of turmoil. Would you know anything about that?
It is nearly impossible to be a resident in Saltmarsh and not know of the travails of the dwarves here in town. I can assure you, Thorgarn, that it is less to do with the fact that you are a dwarf than it is to do with the fact that the dwarves are the ones that the king has sent to Saltmarsh to begin digging in the mountain. That very progress of which I spoke is the very thing that grinds those same gears of progress of those that have the more traditional views. They feel threatened. So they take that hostility out on those who represent their fear.
So the way I see it, they're afraid that the fishermen who want to fish are going to have their lives interrupted by dwarves who want to mine.
No.
How?
No, I do think you misunderstand. It is less that the mining operation itself is a problem. It's the prosperity that the mine will inevitably bring to the region. Even now it is said that the dwarves are beginning to find more and more silver in the mine. More silver means more money. More money means the king sends more dwarves to uncover more silver and bring more money, which brings more prosperity to the town.
But doesn't that also increase trade? Doesn't that also increase demand of the fishermen, thus allowing them to make more money?
Tell me, Thorgarn, have you ever been a fisherman? Not of a commercial variety like so many here, but have you ever, even as a young dwarf, taken up a pole and...
I've thrown a stick with a line in the water trying to catch a fish now and then. Not saying I'm some expert at it or anything.
But you understand then that when you had your fishing hole, your spot that you liked to go to, that was a place for you, and the fish that you withdrew were for you. Now imagine if 2, 3, 6, 12, several score more were to join you at your same fishing spot. You would no longer have that solitude. You would be less likely to catch as many fish, as you would be sharing the fish of that location with everybody around you. That is the fear that plagues those with the traditional view here in town.
Yeah, I understand the point, but I would think that the locals would have a one up on any newcomers, and would be able to, as the dwarves would say, stake a claim. But that's just using mining terms.
Well, there's only so many claims that can be staked upon the open waters, and that is the fear. Even now, that fear is manifest in our own bay here. I see Captain Dervish's vessel, the Evangeline, was denied entry to the docks.
Are you familiar with said captain?
No. I know of Captain Dervish. I wouldn't say I was familiar with him. Unless your inquiry is a bit more innocent in nature.
I was not meaning to press in those regards, lady. I just meant, did you know him, and do you happen to know anything about his plight?
I know that his ship was denied entry into the docks. I know that his cargo is currently being held in the bay. I know that Dervish and some of his crew are currently behind bars.
Is this something that's happened before?
It has not. I was quite surprised last evening to hear that this development had come to play. It is a very bold move, and if I may offer my own opinion on the matter, I fear that it's too bold of a move even for the traditionalists. Something else is at play here. Someone is pushing their own agenda.
So we're looking at something of vendetta then.
Perhaps, though I think it has more to do with the overall political tensions here in Saltmarsh. Everything seems to center around the mine.
If we're to try and help our associates in the jail, who would probably be the best one to speak to about it?
Well, given the charges that they're currently on, your first point of contact would be Eliander Fireborn, the captain of the guard, and he is a trusted friend of mine.
That's good
But
to know.
I fear you may actually find yourself having to interact with the council itself, if you mean to intercede on their behalf, which means you will have to deal with some others, and that means you'll have to deal with Ida Oland, who is stubborn and represents the concerns of the traditionalists. Herself, a renowned fisher folk of the region, she owns that ship, and that ship, as she points at 3 different vessels that are already heading out of the bay, circumnavigating the blockade against the Evangeline. My friends, if I may be so bold as to refer to you as friends, I would invite you to my estate at your earliest convenience. I would like to extend my hospitality further to you, to join me and some guests for dinner, at your leisure, of course. I must continue with my tasks at hand. I do have business to tend to today. But please, if you do go talk to Eliander Fireborn, tell him that I have said hello, that I send you with my regards.
So if meeting with you and Oleander will help the captain and my kin that are on that boat, and I would be more than obliged to come have a meal and share stories and whatever else need to be done.
Wonderful. I do look forward to seeing you in the not-too-distant future. It has been an absolute pleasure to meet all of you, and Fig, dear, keep your coins close.
Just, I hate doing this, but can I insight check her?
Absolutely. I hate seeing if you're lying, but are you lying?
That's a 17.
You get the sense that that she's genuine. Her invitation seems genuine. Any of the silkiness to her demeanor or her voice is purely elven in nature and possibly just part of her personality. You don't get any sense that she's weaving untruths or hiding secret motivations.
All right. Awesome. I just had to check.
And she makes it a point to greet, or rather say a farewell to each of you in turn, meeting your eyes as she gives you that slight sort of slightly tilted to the side and slight nod of the head.
Does she say farewell to Cantriel and Elvin?
Not only does she say farewell to Cantriel in Elven, she says farewell to you in Dwarvish.
Oh. She's earned an extra star. Look at that.
Friends, what are we gonna do? I'm a man of action. I'm not a man of speaking to 15 people to try to get talk to the other 15 people to talk to those 15 people.
Oh, you don't.
I mean, I'm good at giving it straight, but I'm.
Come now, Griveth. I am certain somewhere in the teachings of Eldath, there's parts that talk about using words. It's not all about the sword.
And if only you had someone who was known for being good with crowds of people and talking to them and charming them. Oh, woe is us.
Yeah, I wonder where we can get somebody like that.
All right, I get it. She was quite interesting. We'll have to definitely go visit.
Oh,
Daddies.
Sure. Yes, that's what you picked up. Yes, let's visit the pretty elf lady.
It's a good day. I've seen 2 beautiful elves today.
That had to have been purely coincidence. Or maybe it was subconscious. I did not intend to describe her. I did
sure
not.
she's not a
I wasn't
long-lost
sitting here
relative?
looking at V describing an elven woman. It was pure coincidence.
Are you sure she's not a long lost relative, Cantriel? She looks a lot like you.
Are you saying all elves look alike, Griveth?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Well, so far you've made it about a half or a quarter mile through town. You were, I believe, you were told by you, Cantriel, were told about the Wicker Goat,
right?
The old tavern, and you learned what you've learned and have yet to share with the others. And then the rest of you have met the Lady Vantage. Both of you have heard of Eleander Fireborn as apparently a trustworthy person to speak to.
Yeah. Right. Well, since you were meeting someone quite interesting, I happened to bump into Roland from the ship.
You all would know Roland.
Yeah.
How'd he get off the ship?
I didn't ask. He was there. We had more important things to discuss.
So at least someone from the crew is off the ship, in town, and not in jail.
Yes, and he's trying to keep an eye on things as well. And he and I are going to try and touch base with each other as we try and figure out how to help out those who are in jail, because we have Dervish, Miranda, and Giselle in there as well.
Did you happen to ask if anybody else made it off the ship?
It seems to be quarantine is the reason for keeping everyone on the ship, and it seems the reason why they are in jail is for slavery.
Well, that's daft.
No one said it was an intelligent reason, but clearly they're trying to make it so you're not exactly getting out of this.
This is...
We could be character witnesses. I'm sure they'll listen to us.
Oh, I highly doubt that.
Well, I mean...
But I'm a man of faith. They'll listen.
Griveth, that's not always what's going to get you through life. I hate to break it to you.
Honestly, their stories contradicting is going to, have to win out in the end. If one thing is saying, oh, they're there because they're quarantined, and another one's saying that these guys are in jail because of slavery, they're stabbing themselves in the foot on this one.
Well, no, they're keeping the dwarves quarantined, and they're arresting the people who are using them for slave trade.
Right, but just by doing that, by keeping them separated, that's going to get the captain free, because clearly it's not slaves, because if they were slaves, they'd have to be set free. Slavery is illegal. But if they're keeping them in quarantine, all it takes is somebody to look them over and see that they're fine.
Not necessarily. Sometimes illnesses can brew and they can remain before making themselves known. It's not unheard of to keep people of foreign origins quarantined for a period of time when they're coming into a new area.
Right, but they're going to have to either send them off or let them in at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they weren't intended for slavery.
True, but if they were designed as slaves, who was on that ship keeping things under control? If their crew was arrested?
That's where we need to go find the guard.
Well, I say we go find this Fireborn then.
Agreed. Probably get more on his side of the story to figure out what's going on, because the cards are definitely stacked.
Indeed. Makes me glad that we had that new friend and we didn't have to get stuck out there.
That would have been interesting.
Could you imagine?
Oh, right. We could have been stuck on the week.
No,
if I
no.
was stuck in jail. Oh my gosh. What would have happened?
No. Forget this. Imagine Talmud being in sight of land and being told he's got to stay on the boat.
Imagine someone else being stuck on the boat and not having gone to a temple.
I just made it in time. As if I wouldn't have made it, who knows what would have happened? And too horrible to contemplate.
Well, let's go and find this Fireborn and see if
let's see if we can
fill in more
fix this
blanks.
mess.
So how would you like to go about finding Eleander Fireborn?
Find a city guard and ask.
Well, as you noticed upon your arrival last night, there are a fair number, enough that you don't have to look far to see them, usually traveling in pairs, sometimes in 3s and 4s, are a number of human guards that wear simple leather armor emblazoned with the green reed of Saltmarsh.
Any of them of the young and impressionable male persuasion?
Give me an investigation check as you're scanning the crowd. From your vantage point, you can see a handful of guards in different points.
19.
So you see one set of guards that is 2 women. And then a little further along, you see a guard that is leaning on his spear, digging a pinky into his teeth, looking at what's there, and then sucking it off of his pinky, while a much younger woman is standing by, just kind of giving him that sidelong look of, God, seriously? And then you see a group of 3 young men, they're all human. They all look to be in their mid to late 20s.
All right. We could play a little divide and conquer. Griveth. Maybe go and chat up the 2 young ladies over there. Use your looks for something.
Yeah.
I'll go take care of the 3 young ones over there. And Thorgarn, maybe you can speak to the one who seems to have a more dwarvish tendency.
What about me? How can I help?
Go with Griveth.
Okay, so just so I can understand, you're sending Thorgarn to the
Toothpicker.
to the toothpicker, and then you're sending Griveth and Fig to deal with the 2 young women, and then you are going to deal with the 3 young men.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to roll to see which group we're going to go with first. Cantriel, it's you first.
All right, so she'll walk over there and she's sort of like making sure, pulled together, looking polished, not disheveled or anything like that. What are they doing? Do I know?
The 3 of them are more or less keeping an eye out on the streets. They are looking around, observing, but amongst them, they're just kind of talking amongst themselves. seems to be just sort of a little bit of banter, joking around. The one in the middle is a little bit shorter than the other two. And as you approach, you catch a little bit of their conversation as he seems to be one of those types that boasts about either which of the people in town that he's been with or that he could be with. And the other two don't seem to believe him. They are kind of rolling their eyes, almost like this is just something they got to deal with.
Mm-hmm. I've met this one. All right. She'd go up to them and what time of day is it? Afternoon at this point?
At this point, you've only been talking for a little while. I'd say it's maybe 8 o'clock in the morning now.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning to you, gentlemen.
Hello. Good morning.
Yes, hi. I'm new, and
You don't say.
Oh, I do say. I was hoping maybe you three could help me, if you don't mind.
The one in the middle who was just boasting and joking previously is sort of like, yeah, we'd, what can we do for you?
Oh, well, you see, I like to collect stories. It's something that I do, and put them to song and that type of thing. And it looks like there's a very interesting one developing out there by the island. What's going on with that boat?
You collect stories.
Well, it's what we bards do, dear.
Oh, you're a bard.
Yes. I'm always up for new stories and new friends.
One of the two on that's flanking him sort of leans down and goes, "What's a bard?" They tell stories, they sing songs. They're the ones that perform in the goat every once in a while. Okay. But what does that have to do with the ship out there?
It looks like it could be a cool story for me to create into song.
A ship with 6 slaves on it? I don't see much of a story there.
Wait, 6 slaves?
Sick.
Oh, 6
I heard there's more than 6. I heard there's 40 or 50 of them.
Well, that's a large number.
I heard it was 100. And that half of them is dead.
Then why would they keep them on the ship with the dead?
Can't have them coming off there with whatever diseases they got. Bringing their diseases here in. Shouldn't even be here.
Why not?
Slavery's illegal.
Well, no, I was thinking more that why would... I'm a little stuck on the whole sickness and letting them stay with the dead ones, but...
Slavery's illegal. The captain of that vessel, he brought in slaves. He got caught and he's put in jail.
Okay, now this is sounding like a story. Okay,
the slaves have been quarantined before they can be freed, because if there's 100 sick and dying and dead slaves, we can't have the disease spreading. So they have to be quarantined until they can be examined.
All right, and who's this evil captain who's bringing the 6 slaves in?
I don't know who he is. I know they took him and some of his crew over to the jail.
Oh, did they now? Think I could get a chance to talk to them and get more information? I do love a good bit of gossip.
I'm gonna have you roll a. Well, I guess it probably won't matter which one, but I'm gonna have you roll a. I'm gonna call this a performance check.
A performance check. Okay. And that's gonna be an 18.
All right, I see. You want to talk right to the captain, get each side of the story, and you're going to take what we've told you, and you incorporate our side of the story, and together you what? Make a song of it?
Yeah, call and back and forth type of thing.
Wait, if you're gonna tell a story and sing a song, and we might be in it.
Well, it's quite possible, especially if you're helpful.
Well, yeah. Yeah, they took him to the jail. I seen them. I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't take them, but when I checked in this morning from a shift, they was there all right.
Well, who's in charge of them then?
But I'd be at the end of Fireborn. He's captain of City Watch.
Oh, well, no, that's a name.
And
That's
with a
okay.
case as big as this, he's at the jail all right.
So if I go to the jail, I'll probably find this Fireborn fellow who might have more information for me.
Right, he might even be, if you've got a story to tell, he's a bit of a historian. Served in the wars. That man knows so much.
Well, sounds like my type of people.
He might be interested in hearing what you got to say.
Well, where would I find the jail? I only just got here recently, and I can't say that I've been required to find it.
Oh, right. Well, I suspect that's a good thing. Wouldn't be good if you immediately knew where the jail was, would it? So, you're going to have to go back up this road a ways to where the T intersection is, right? That's going to be up to the north there. And then, as soon as you get there, you're going to need to head west across the river. Of course, that's going to take you, as I remember what it's called, that's going to take you across the shark fin bridge. Keep your purses close. Keep your hands in your pockets lest something come missing. It's a bit tight through there. And then once you get across the shark fin bridge, you're going to immediately cut to the north, and it's on the outskirts of town. It's a barracks, jail. You can't miss it.
Right.
I'll say it's probably about, it's about a 20-minute walk from here.
Well, it's not too bad then.
Right, so you need our names then for your song?
I was just about to ask that of you. Look at how clever you are.
I've kind of always wanted to have my name in a song. I'm Feral. My name is Lester. Everybody calls me Les. This is Jared.
All right, so Farrell, Les, and Jared.
Hey.
Very, very nice to meet your acquaintances, and thank you for the loaning of your names.
So, would you be singing this song at the Goat, perhaps?
Well, it was one of my next stops. I was hearing some good things about it. I thought I'd check it out maybe later this evening. I, of course, would need a day or two to get something pulled together, but hopefully.
Well, we're in there most nights after our shift, so we'll be sure to be looking for you.
I will make sure to wave hello, especially if I see you from the stage.
All right. Well, good day to you then, ma'am.
Thank you very much. You've been quite helpful.
At the same time is we are going to cut to Griveth and Fig as they are approaching the two young women guards.
All right, so Griveth is kind of swaggering over, using his best swagger, and he turns to Fig and he's like, "Watch this, Fig. This is what we call sex appeal."
Fig is copying his walk right behind him.
Oh. Okay. So first off, Griveth.
Yes.
Just make me a performance check.
Uh-oh. Where is my sheet? Where is my sheet? Oh, God. Hold on, sorry.
As Fig and Griveth come rolling up, we're going to see just how good Griveth's
Yeah, sorry, I
sex
closed my
appeal
sheet, my mistake.
is.
Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. do, 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 do.
Undead King says that Griveth and Fig might find a quicker way to the jail.
Yeah. Yeah, if I got a 1 on that performance check. Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh crap. I got a 5.
Well, you also have 107 domain dice.
Oh, right. I'm going to re-roll that. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, that's a better 15. Let's take it up a notch.
All right. So Griveth is. What does Griveth's sex appeal walk look like? The DM said reluctantly. What is this swagger? And this is also for Fig's benefit, so we can see what exactly is Fig mimicking.
Griveth almost literally grew up in a soldier camp. He was a soldier from a very young age. He didn't have very refined teachers, and just kind of learned that machismo, from his fellow soldiers. So it's a bit awkward and overblown, to say the least. But he is very handsome, and he does have a lot of charisma. So he just has a lot of natural charisma, even though it's a bit awkward.
So this swagger does seem to fit with Griveth's sort of just natural aura that he exudes, and the confidence. There is a certain level of confidence that comes with anybody who puts on a suit of armor. And so Griveth carries himself in a pretty confident way. Fig, seeming to attempt to adopt this, sans the large suit of armor. I imagine there's just this almost extra. Well, actually, why don't you give me a performance check, Fig? Let's see how well you can imitate Griveth.
Ooh. I got a 19 on the die.
Bam!
Got a 19.
There's something about Griveth's manner that it's that natural military bearing that adds to that sort of confidence and swagger. And Fig, you've just naturally fallen into step with Griveth. And as the two of you walk up, you notice these two young women who are already kind of observant. They see you walking up, and they actually sort of almost snap to attention. They hold themselves a little bit straighter, holding their spears as they watch you approach, waiting, kind of glancing at each other to see if you're actually coming directly up to them. And when you do approach and stop in front of them, they look at you, Griveth. Sir, is there something we can help you with?
Why, yes, there is.
Sir?
Yes.
You said there was something we could help you with.
Yes, there is.
What's happening?
Oh, you want to know what you can help me with?
I thought that was implied.
Well, let me tell you. Your commander's name is Aleander Fireborn, right? Is that correct?
Aleander Fireborn is the captain
yes.
of the City Watch, yes?
Yes. Well, I need to speak to him. There's been a grave misunderstanding.
I see. So you wish to file some sort of complaint with Captain Fireborn?
Well, not necessarily a complaint, but, just a discussion of some friends of ours who were unjustly accused. And you see, I'm a paladin. My goddess is Eldath. Would they have any idea of that?
One of them just kind of looks a little perplexed. And the other one says, okay, so all right, you're a holy soldier then.
Yes. And that means I never lie.
Well, good for you. So you want to file a complaint because of a wrongful arrest for some friends of yours?
Yes.
To do that, you would probably either need to speak directly with Captain Fireborn at the jail, or to seek out the council for some sort of appeal. But I don't believe that any cases have been set before the council just yet.
Okay, so you're saying there would still be time to talk to the captain and get these charges dropped.
What charges are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
You see that big ship out in the harbor there?
Yeah. I do.
There were some people taken from that ship and quarantined.
Nobody that was under quarantine has been removed from that ship, I can assure you.
Was anyone removed from the ship?
The captain and some of his crew were arrested when they came on shore.
Yes, that's who I'm talking about.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because you never lie.
No.
Okay. Well, as I said, you're going to need to speak to Captain Fireborn, or you're going to need to go to the council and appeal.
Could one of you well-toned guards take me to the captain?
They look at each other. Well-toned? What? I'm sorry, sir. We are on duty, tasked with providing overwatch and guarding the streets of Saltmarsh, but if you would like to go to the jail yourself, you can walk that way and across the Shark Fin Bridge, follow the road around to the north, and you will find the jail. It'll be the big stone building with bars on all the windows.
Well, wouldn't it be quicker if one of you took me in, and then you could introduce me, and then we could get all this out of the way, and we could get my friends released quickly?
With all respect to whatever military or religious service that you may be a part of, sir, our orders are to stay here and guard our post. We cannot, unless properly relieved, leave this post. Unless you would like us to arrest you, in which case we would then have to take you to the jail. But you've given us no cause to arrest you.
Could you pretend to arrest me? For maybe a little coin.
1 second. I have to check something. Well, sir, it is possible that for a little coin, you just could get what you're looking for. Bribing a government official is a 50 gold piece fine, and you will, of course, have to serve 1 day of hard labor for each gold piece of the infraction.
That's what I thought. So take me in.
You're what?
Arrest me.
You haven't done anything wrong, sir.
I haven't. Didn't I just bribe you?
Did you? You didn't give us any money.
Well, I actually don't have any money.
All right, we're gonna pause here for a moment. First, actually, I want you to roll a. I'm gonna have you roll a persuasion check.
Okay.
And while this is happening, we're gonna swing over to Thorgarn, and they're. Tell me what you got on your persuasion. And Fig, are you just? What are you doing while Griveth is in this weird exchange?
Here's how I imagine Fig. Fig is looking triumphantly, part one, at the women, thinking that Griveth is going to show off his skills. But then as the conversation
Sex
goes
appeal.
on, and then as the conversation goes on, you just see Fig's shoulders just kind of slump a little bit more as he looks from Griveth to the guards, back to Griveth. And he's very much just trying to figure out what is happening.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
All right, Thorgarn. You approach this uncouth guard and the sort of disgusted young woman that is accompanying him. And as you approach him, he's got that finger in there and he's just going.
So I will kind of approach, so I'm approaching the two of them. I'm not looking directly at one or the other. Greetings. I was hoping that you could point me in the direction of Oleander Fireborn.
What? Who said that? He's completely looking around like this, and the young woman, Sergeant, there. And he looks down and spots you, Thorgarn. Hey, right. What do you want, dwarf?
Greetings, good day, sir. I am attempting to locate Oleander Fireborn. Would you be able to direct me towards him, please?
What business you got with the captain?
That is my own.
Sorry. Sorry, sir. I think he's been out in the sun a bit too long. You wish to speak to Captain Fireborn?
Indeed I would. Would you be able to let me know where I might be able to locate him, please?
The particular reason that you're seeking out the captain of the City Watch?
I must have a conversation.
You just arrived here in town, and
indeed, and I've been told he is the one to speak to, and I was given his name by somebody, and I wish to have a conversation.
give me a persuasion check.
Sure thing. You know what? I'm going to use one of those dice.
All right, now we're down to the 105 that's actually displayed.
That was the reason for doing it. That is a 16.
Well, Captain Fireborn is at the jailhouse, but you may have some difficulty meeting with him today.
Would you be as kind to say why?
Well, normally I wouldn't be one to relay this kind of information, but it's all most people are starting to talk about since yesterday. With the new prisoners that were brought in from the ship that's under quarantine, as of this morning, there appears to be a bit of trouble brewing at the jailhouse. There are some individuals that want the crew to be dealt with most severely, and there are others that are saying the whole thing is trumped up charges and they want them to be released. Nonetheless, that is why we are here, keeping an eye on the streets. The guard presence is much stronger at the jail, so Captain Fireborn will be quite busy with dealing with the new prisoners, and of course, what for all intents and purposes seems like it's a bit of a potential riot situation brewing.
I, might be able to help with that if I might be so bold to ask. What side of this issue are you on?
Is you trying to get us to tell you what our political affiliations is here in town?
Indeed.
My political affiliation is this green reed right here on my chest and this spear in my hand. Well, it involves if you break the law, I break you. If you keep the peace, then I'll keep away from you. That's what my political affiliation is.
Well, that is indeed good to hear, sir, because you probably know that the dwarves on that boat were hired by the king to be brought here.
Is you telling me what I know and what I don't know and what I think?
I'm telling you what it is. If you don't know, that's not my fault.
I would never bring in you for being a dwarf. But if you keep up with that line of talk, I will find a reason to bring you in, dwarf.
Well, trust me, I'm not going to break the law.
Look, we're on duty. While we're on duty, we have to maintain a certain impartiality. And, well, Sergeant Thomas here doesn't like to have any aspect of his authority challenged.
Well, then, with one last question, I will be on my way and allow you to, keeping the peace, would you be able to direct me towards where the jail is?
Absolutely. And she tells you the same as the others, across the Sharkfin Bridge to the west. You would be best if there is trouble brewing at the jail to keep your distance. You don't necessarily want to get caught up on the wrong side of anything.
Well, I will do my best. Thank you very much, both of you, for the kind information, and keep up the good work.
Right. I'll keep up whatever kind of job I want to keep up. Sergeant Thomas, he was giving us a compliment.
Now you go first.
Right, well, move along then.
So I will give them both a respectful bow, and I will begin heading off to try and locate my companions.
Griveth, what was your charisma check?
15.
Could Fig intervene?
You can, first, Fig, give me a insight check.
Okay. That's a 12.
It's enough for you to discern that these two guards are getting annoyed with Griveth's bizarre wordplay.
So Fig does not pick up on social cues at all. And so for Fig to even pick up on this social cue, it must be quite obvious. So you see Fig, he's puts a hand on Griveth's shoulder. Perhaps we should leave these two guards alone and go to the jail to carry out our own needs ourselves.
But Fig, I was just getting ready to bribe them some more by asking them to come to the tavern later with me.
Why would you do that?
Because we got to get to the jail so I can get arrested and get in there and see what's going on. Don't worry, I got it covered. I got a way out of this. It's a total escape. I can just use it and I'll get out of it.
I don't think that Cantriel would like this. I think she would be very mad at me if she figured out that I let you do this. So I am saying no, Griveth.
What?
Griveth.
I've never heard you say that.
Griveth, I think you would be best to listen to your friend. Whatever it is that you are attempting to say or do, I can assure you it is not going well.
Was it getting me arrested?
Given what is going on at the jail right now, I don't think we have the time or the patience to bring you to the jail. You would be dealt with what we call street justice.
Oh, okay. I don't want any problems. I don't want any trouble. But I do have one question. Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Would you two be willing to meet me later at the tavern for drinks?
Give me one more charisma check.
Oh, I'm gonna use a die. I'm gonna use a domain die. Oh god. Man, these dice are hating me tonight. This is just straight up charisma.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I got a 7.
There's a good chance that we'll be at the Goat on most nights. You buy not the cheap ales. You buy the good drinks. We just might be there.
All right.
Fig, give me
I'll
an
remember.
insight check.
Me?
No, Fig.
Oh, Fig. Okay. So I thought.
I got a 19 for an 18.
Whatever it is that Griveth is so intent on, he's missing some of these cues that might as well just be written out, that you can see that as the one is saying this, the other one is doing all she can to hold back laughter.
Let us go. Please.
Listen to your friend, Griveth.
I think you all might be right. I think it's time for us to go.
And just before, like, if Griveth turns to leave, Fig is going to turn back to the guards. I feel like apologies is in order for my friend, and thank you for the information that you have given us.
Yes. Sorry. I'm not quite myself today. If you'll forgive me, you won't be bothered by us anymore. Thank you.
They don't say anything. They just kind of give a smile and nod to you, Fig. And then the one looks at you, Griveth, and just gives you that. I'm watching you. And they watch as you leave. So the four of you are able to converge, and having all gained the similar information, are you heading immediately towards the jail, or is there something else you would all like to do? Knowing that Thorgarn also, last you suspected was he said something about going to get a drink.
Talmud, you said.
Or Yeah, sorry, Talmud.
It's still early morning, right?
It is. Enough time. It's probably about 8:30 by now.
Okay.
Well, if you were interested in stopping here, we could go grab Talmud to start that off next session. Otherwise, I would very much be inclined to just be heading straight there, kind of dwarf on a mission thing.
Here's what we'll do. If you guys all want to head to the jail, we'll say that you encounter Talmud along the way. He's a bit disgruntled because nobody's serving the good stuff yet. And you all are able to head to the jail. As you begin heading that way, I just need to check one thing. I need a new eye exam. This is killing me.
So we all kind of converge as we're on our way to the jail.
Yeah. I'm just checking something real quick. It's there it is. It's number 10. Interesting. Okay, this is what I needed to check real quick. Okay, so as you're making your way to the jail, of course, you do come to this bridge, this large bridge that spans the river. There are shops and homes stacked all along. It seems almost as if it rivals the spread out nature of Saltmarsh proper. Almost the same number of buildings seem to be stacked on and around and even under this bridge called the Sharkfin Bridge. It's a bit tight through there, almost claustrophobic as you are moving through the streets. And as you are crossing this bridge, Cantriel, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. 12.
All of you, other than just paying close attention to the people around you, and it's a bit almost shoulder to shoulder at times. Cantriel, as you're crossing the bridge, the whole time you're making this crossing, which takes about 5 to 10 minutes to get across, probably more like 10 or 12 with just navigating the crowds. You just feel uneasy. You feel sick to your stomach. Just a wave of nausea. It almost has a vertigo feeling as you're crossing this bridge. And as soon as your feet touch on the other side, that feeling passes. It's just gone. You have that lingering sensation of queasiness. Just something just felt off. You all continue along the road. Once, as instructed, you make the turn to the north, and there, after a few minutes, you find what is obviously the barracks and jail of the town guard. It is sort of almost like a fort, this structure, made of stone, with an area that rises up, another area that looks like barracks, and you can even see, as one of the guards said, that the windows are barred. But most notably, you see a large gathering of about 100 people outside of the jail. And the whole front side of the jail, there's about 20 town's guard, and this crowd of 100 people is pushing up against them, and they are standing shoulder to shoulder with shields and spears and just pushing people back. and you see as you approach, you see a human man step up onto a platform behind these guards, raising him up about 3 feet. And he's helped up by a couple other guards. You can see as he stands up on this platform that one leg is replaced by a wooden peg leg. And he begins shouting, "You'll need to calm down. Get control of yourselves." And the crowd is jeering and yelling. And there are, as you get closer, you notice that some aspects of the crowd, it actually seems to be split. Some of the crowd that's closest to the guards are actually pushing back the others of the crowd. And people are getting in one another's faces, and yelling at one another to calm down. But you can all tell that tensions are very high, and this has the look of a pot about to boil over. And that is where we are going to end tonight's session. Whew. I said to the players when we were on break that this, while it's our 6th session, since they're first arriving in Saltmarsh, it does have that, it carries that little bit of weight of almost feeling like a first session, because this is a sort of open sandbox. Yeah. And I see that Talmud must have finished his game because he's jumped in the chat here. So rest assured, Talmud, you are with them and a little bit disgruntled because you didn't get the strong ale you were looking for. Griveth, apparently, some aspects of his nature had nothing to do with the corruption. Some aspects are just ingrained. But even Fig seems to be wanting to help, keep Griveth on the straight and narrow. As you all have learned a few names and met a few people in town, and you get a sense of where your Captain Dervish is, and there's a bit of a predicament there. So next week, hopefully we will have everybody here as we see just what the heck is going on at the Saltmarsh jail and what kind of trouble Dervish and Giselle and Matilda are in. And who knows, maybe you guys will meet the Lady Vantage for dinner one night. A huge thank you tonight, as always, to Scotty and V and Megan and Ted. It's always a pleasure, and I feel 100% better than I did a few hours ago when we started this. I was having a crappy day, and D&D is the solution. And I do want to say, just tonight, you guys watching with us in the chat have been awesome. Looking at the Stream Elements feed here, we've picked up several new followers, which is awesome. Hopefully you like what you see here. Thank you to Spike, who cheered 1,000 bits. And I do want to say, if you head over to facebook.com/mini-terrain-domain, there is, in the submissions by others, there is a picture. I may just go ahead and grab it, Spike, and post it so it shows up in the actual feed. Spike posted a bit of more bits to put you guys back up over the top to 107. So thank you for that, Spike. But Spike did produce our first piece of fan art, a bit of a Photoshop composition of their vision of what the Dawnbringers look like. So that's phenomenal. I'll get that posted in the main feed in just a few minutes. And again, thank you to Spike for another 1,000 bits. Thank you to Anonymous, who gifted 5 tier 1 subs into the chat. Our patron saint of Domain Dice, Chameleon Fam, who brought us up from a mere 71 bits all the way up to over 100. domain dice with those generous $100 and $35 tips. All of that goes to help support the channel, and we greatly appreciate that. The Maharishi cheered some bits, our resident moderator, Fellowship of the Table. And even if you don't cheer bits, you're not donating, we still appreciate you. I just wanted to call those people out. But even if you're lurking with us, if you just silently watch and observe and don't participate in the chat, that's okay. We are happy to have you here. We hope you enjoy this game as much as we do, and we hope you'll stick around and keep watching. We can respect if you want to watch silently from the shadows. So thank you to everybody. Check out the channel. Check us out on YouTube. Check out everybody else's information. All of their social medias can be found by typing their name with an exclamation point in their name in the chat, or on the VODs on YouTube. All of that stuff is in the information bar, because every one of these wonderful people have amazing things going on. And if you want more D&D, tune in tomorrow night. Alan Holloway of Check for Traps, CFT RPG, is a guest streamer every Friday night here on Mini Terrain Domain, running session 2 of Curse of Strahd. Tamiko, who's been in the chat all night tonight, is one of the players on that. Alan has a tremendous group of players in Mini Terrain Domain Presents A Curse of Strahd, a CFT RPG production. And Megan, is it next Wednesday? Next, I was waiting for the
I had to double.
And speaking of Mini Terrain Domain Presents, next Wednesday, Megan is a part of and is producing the Mini Terrain Domain Presents A Dice on Ice production of Spire, The City Must Fall, GM'd by Megan's other half, Connor. Both of Dice on Ice and some more amazing players, and it's just awesome. I love being able to provide this platform for them to run these unique games. So we have lots of D&D and RPGs going on here. Check out everybody's streams.
And there's next Friday night is the conclusion of season 3 of the RPG Crate game that Jake and V are in. So we'll get to see how that all unfolds.
And I'm going to type it in the chat one last time before we bug out of here. Check out the Quest Givers Kickstarter that Scotty told us about after the break. The link is in the chat. Check out that. We've run one of the North Road campaign games that very thematically fits with Saltmarsh, actually, that a while back as a one-shot. So thank you, everybody. I've said it like 6 times now. We're just going to go ahead. We're going to get out of here. It's been a while since I've done this. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done this. I forget how to do it. We're going to go ahead and we're going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.